Titanus Gojira, widely known as Godzilla, first appeared in 1954. The Titan is considered to be a hero, though he will do anything necessary to protect the Earth from threats. Godzilla is shown to be the most dominant out of the rest of the Titans. We call him the king of the monsters.
Alright guys, so for reals this time, for reals. We are now, let me check real quick. We are officially 8 weeks away from Sheffield. Quick update, Thanksgiving week was last week. I think I recorded like twice. I recorded the final part to the Nike bar review, where I essentially put it through like the most important test is like, how is that bar going to function with X amount of weight on your back? Like how, whatever, right? That was last video. And then I recorded again Tuesday. Yeah, I recorded Tuesday, and then I just completely, because I was just thinking, I was like, you know what guys, like, I haven't been very consistent with my Road to Sheffield series. I've been kind of doing some side quests, been super busy with family time. Last week was so busy, but it was honestly one of the most rewarding weeks of my life. I got to see my wife's family interact with our son for the first time, and the way they received them, like Langudi, Batal, like if you guys are watching this video, like I love you guys. I'm grateful that you guys are in my son's life. And then anyways, that's enough with the formalities. That's enough with like the family stuff. That's enough with whatever, right? Something that's really been on my mind lately is the conversation of being burnt out, right? Like, what is burnt out? Is burnt out when you lose passion, you lose luster, you're just not as eager to do what you once loved to do, right? Or on the other hand, are you just desensitized to the passion, the fire, the emotion, because you've been doing something for so long that it just becomes very automatic, very mechanical, very robotic. So the expectation of that internal, like, oh, you're like, oh, like I'm supposed to feel a certain way about this. When that's not met, it kind of sends you into a spiral where you're like, oh, maybe I don't really love what I'm doing anymore. Maybe I want to do something else. But in reality is, like, you're human. Human emotion is fleeting. You should never react and do something long-lasting or potentially consequential off a fleeting emotion. Stay consistent. If you don't want to do it anyways. If you want to do it even harder. If you want to do it later, screw that. Do it right now. If you have to do it later, then okay, wait, do what you got to do. But that's just been on my heart lately because I feel like I don't really train that hard, but I know I do. You know what I'm saying? But regardless, guys, this is going to be a conversation that we're going to have throughout today's training session. I don't want to like monologue for 8 minutes on the intro because then you guys will click off. But today I have an RP7 with set to 7 and RP7. So last week I did 937 for 1 with 672 for 2x7. So I think today what I'm aiming for is 948, 971. That's my range for today. If I feel off, we'll opt for something lighter, maybe like 903 minimum. But for my back downs, I think I'm gonna set a cap for 716. Like my knees, I've been feeling pretty good. This morning, my hip was kind of tight. My left hamstring to glute, that connective tissue feels a little off. But I think once I warm up and get things going, it'll feel all right. But all right, guys, let's get today started. quick update. I just took like a 10 to 15 minute rest period because after that warm-up set of 3, like, so it felt okay. The first one just felt like I leaned too much to my right, so I really tried to do 2 more reps, focusing on the middle. And I don't know if I forgot to breathe. I haven't watched the video yet, but for whatever reason, my chest got super tight. I got really lightheaded, and I took off my hat, I took off my earphones, I took off my belt, and I just sat down for like 10 minutes, just trying to return to homeostasis, you know, return to a level of regularity where I felt okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to retake 716 for 2 reasons. One, I did take a long rest period. I turned off the BAF, the big ass fan, I turned it off. So, and then I just want to see how it feels. Like if I get back to that state where I got lightheaded, my chest got real tight, then honestly, I'm either gonna drop down to 3 reps, 4 reps, and, you know, just do some tempo, pause, volume, and live to fight another day, or, you know, I feel okay and we continue going up. You know, this is at around 70%. We still have a lot of room to scale. So, but always have to make sure that you are well. This is the first time in a long time, or first time ever, that I've ever felt like that. And the most logical conclusion I can arrive to is I didn't breathe right in between those triples. So just gotta make sure that I'm watching out for myself and I'm being smart, and, you know, because the last thing anybody wants is for something unfortunate to happen. So. Okay, that moved a lot better, felt a lot better, so we're gonna go up. All right, guys, so that was 959 pounds. I know I've done this weight a few times, but I don't know what came over me. I just like, you guys know that I'm not one for like dramatics. Maybe that's not the correct word. Like, you guys know I'm not one for like, I try to keep every ounce of energy that I have contained. I try to just stay focused and stay as level-headed as I can. But I don't know, man. It's just in that moment, a surge of like fight just surfaced out of my belly, and it just flushed me out, you know. Even now, like, I'm still feeling a little like, which is scary, you know, because how my chest feels right now is what it felt like 25 minutes ago, where I had to slow down. But I really think what happened is I wasn't breathing enough. I probably held my breath for too long, and it just, you know, my body wasn't able to expel the carbon dioxide in time, so whatever, right? But I think this honestly moved really, really well. I think my legs are numb and fatigued from this week, last week, and just this weekend. Friday, we were out all day walking. We went Black Friday shopping. I didn't really buy. I did buy something, but I didn't buy it on Black Friday. It was just, I need to see how many steps I walked over Friday, Saturday. Yesterday, I did stay off my feet for the majority of the day. And I think that's why I was kind of like recovered, but my legs weren't feeling as crispy. And plus, if this is a significantly different setup, right? Like the TSS plates are super thin. These bars aren't as, the resistance to, their PSI resistance isn't as high as the Alico, so it is gonna have a lot more wobble, a lot more whip. But I think we're handling this change of situation pretty nicely. You know, like that's 959 pounds, and honestly, I wanna say it moved better than last week. You know, I did feel heavier, but I think that's just because it did move heavier, but I think that's because of the reasons I just described. You know, very, very, very active weekend. And then, you know, that was that. So I'm pretty happy with this. You know, it was crispy. Felt good to express some emotion. All right, Ethan, just kind of like, you know, dig deep, because I'm gonna have to, you know, I'm gonna be faced with situations where my health and my life are at risk, and I have to be willing to make those sacrifices. I have to be willing to make those decisions, and I have to be equipped enough to make and execute the perfect decisions, perfect everything under the highest duress, under the highest circumstances, you know? Second heaviest squatter at Sheffield is gonna be Ashton Ruska, good friend of mine. I mean, it's a lot easier catching 850 than it is 1,050, you know? So I have to be ready. So I'm gonna go ahead and strip the bar. I'm probably gonna drop down to 4 reds and work my way up. I'll probably go, I just really wanna listen to my body, just because the longer reps is going to tax my cardiovascular system a little harder. So I need to make sure that I'm listening to that and just taking the necessary steps, the necessary precautions. I already did my one hoorah, my one, you know, like Kamehameha. So now we train. Now we go back to base form. Oh, it just makes a knot in my upper back. Oh. Ooh. We wrapped up with 496 for 2 sets of 7. Sometimes, not all the time, but maybe like 20% of the time, maybe 25, I will get a knot on the right part of my back. And I tell you what, it is a very uncomfortable thing to experience. But me and Carlos were chopping it up, and instead of doing my stiff leg deadlifts or barbell RDLs, whatever you guys like to call them, we're gonna opt out for something a little less compoundy, more bodybuildy. And that's just because I don't want to like get lightheaded. I just don't want to push myself too hard in that area. So we're just gonna isolate the muscles and, you know, finish strong. Haven't done this one in a long time. Maybe I did it too long. Yeah, the attachment's a little too low on my calf, so it doesn't really let me get the full range, huh? Yeah, it's too low, but I'm like, oh, it kind of hurts. I'm a lower, not lower, I'm a, all right, that should be a little better. My right hamstring's kind of lighting up right now. Oh, I'm gonna just do both legs. Toes up. I'm gonna just do them both legs because isolated my right hamstring just feels like something's hitting it, so we'll play safe. I didn't care anymore. All I knew is that I wanted to be better than Kakarot. I might have to skip leg extensions, bro, because if I get in that leg extension, it's gonna give me a mean hammy cramp. Yeah, okay. Control, pause, control, pause, control, pause, control, pause, control, pause, control, pause, hold, relax. Whew. So we're going to superset. Well, I guess you don't have to superset, but today we're just doing leg curls with abductor and adductor, I think. Maybe some calves. But every time I hit like my hamstrings, specifically, like every time I isolate those muscles, I get the meanest Charlie horse cramps of my life. Because you guys gotta remember, the stronger a muscle, the greater the ability to contract, because that's essentially what jumpstarts the switch in momentum to lift weights. It is the contraction aspect of the muscle, right? The flexion and contraction. Well, I'm gonna stop there. I'm not a whiz with you. I just understand those basic ideas, right? So when my muscles are a certain level of strength, you guys have to imagine how much harder my stuff be cramping. Like I'm talking like, I have a decent pain tolerance, but my cramps really take me out. Like they take me all the way out, guys. Like I'm talking, I gotta like mentally lock the TF in because, bruh, and it's like risky now because I can't afford to cramp while I'm holding my son. Like that's a no-go. So I need to make sure that today my pee is clear all day. There cannot be a moment today where my pee is yellow or any kind of color because I'm risking myself cramping, and it sucks, but I can't afford to cramp with holding my son. I know you guys saw those flexes. My quads be looking crazy. I see you figured out how to work this with me. So I just did 2 sets. There's no reason to overdo that particular movement, but now let's go find the calf extensions and then we'll finish out there. This is gonna be today's final accessory. So today we've done single leg laying leg curls, both legs, and then 2 sets of 20 abductor, 2 sets of 20 abductor, and then now I'm gonna do probably 3 sets of 15 calf extension. But today was a uniquely interesting situation, and it has everything to do with warming up for squats. Like, never in my life I cannot recall anything like that ever happening to me, like ever, you know? It was genuinely scary because I was getting lightheaded. My body normally starts to recover the minute I get my breathing under control. And there was like 2-3 seconds there where I wasn't recovering. And for a minute, you know, it's like, well, son of a gun, like what's gonna happen? Like what's happening to me? But this is a situation that I'm not a stranger to, you know? My health, my well-being is at risk every single time I train. Like, I can't afford to come into the gym and half-ass anything, you know? Even the days that I'm lazy, even the days that I'm like walking through it, it's with 100% intentionality of, I always respect the weights, you know? Always respect the weights. And I just kind of locked in, you know, like you have to. You can't afford to have a weak resolve, because the difference between success, failure, and failing horribly is how committed to the goal at hand are you. The difference between hitting that world record or hitting that PR could be the difference between wanting to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, or you just weren't ready for it, you know? So I want to succeed as bad as I want to breathe, you know? And sometimes I tell myself that dying isn't worth it. Sometimes I tell myself that my life isn't worth it. Sometimes it's like, I think that's just my way of balancing the reality of it, you know? Because if I'm constantly thinking about the risk, then sooner than later, I'm probably not gonna wanna do it anymore, you know? And that's the thing, you know, how I was talking about at the introduction. It's like, sometimes I feel like I don't wanna do this anymore, but then come Saturday, Sunday, actually, depending on how my session goes, I find myself thinking about my next session 7 days from now. During my session, I find myself thinking about what I can do better next week, you know? If a session doesn't go my way, I find myself telling, oh, I can fix this next week. I can fix this next session. If I have a bad deadlift workout, I'm literally fighting the urge to redo my workout after my Friday workout. I go to bed Sundays thinking about what I'm going to do come Monday to improve, right? And I've been very open about it. Like, my passion isn't powerlifting. My passion is improving. My passion is getting better. That's what I love. And powerlifting is just an avenue at which I can do that consistently. So I think I'm just at a point where I'm just desensitized to the grind. You know, I've been training so hard for so long with dreams that I've accomplished. I've done crazy feats. To kind of like recap today's session, we worked up to 9:59 for one, turned on the gas a little bit. We did 2 sets of 7 with 496, and then my accessories, right? So honestly, not a bad day. Had a curveball. I think I made the necessary adjustments and audibles to get through today's session while also, you know, getting a little better, if not marginally. So then all I have to do is finish out with these 2 sets of calf extensions, and then I'll be on my way to go. I got my post-workout shake in my truck, Transparent Labs, code Meike. And then I think I have some leftover Thanksgiving food in the fridge for my lunch. So I'll be back here tomorrow, guys. And I'm excited to resume the consistency with the Sheffield series because there's 8 weeks out. That's about 32 sessions. No, well, not 32 sessions. That's about 31 and a half sessions left. 30 and a half sessions left. 29 and a half, my bad, guys. Today's over with, essentially. So we're sub 31 training sessions left. 30, son of a gun. You guys know what I mean. We're getting close. So I want to make sure that I document these last 2 months. And then we're out of here scot-free, guys. We're at the show day, baby.